Hi, my name's Stephen Harrison from Yorkshire, England. A master craftsman. I started walling when I was, or dry stack, when I was about 12 years old. My father got me a few projects to do, small projects, and my experience started there. And his staff learnt me how to wall, and it's all about gaining experience, guys. And whether that is in competitions or working with masters or people above you with more experience, take it. Competitions down in Kentucky, or if you chance, come over to Great Britain and gain experience where you can.
What about some of the your walling styles, or some of the different walling styles that are in the structure that we're working on right now at the Stoneworks?
The structure that we're working on now predominantly is dry coursing. Back home, there's many different styles of walling, different techniques for different areas, and with each different stone type you get a different technique, and you need to own your skills, getting different experience within the different stone types to be able to move forward. Excuse me.
Sure. With the you had mentioned with the experiences and stuff, what would you say you've noticed sometimes new folks that are getting into the craft? What sometimes do they fall into? Not really necessarily bad habits, but things that they sometimes may dwell on more than they should.
Yes. I think if you gain the experience through working with different craftsmen, that is a good grounding. But when you get out there on your own and you think somebody's setting unusually difficult goals, like no straight joints, or one stone over three, and all these different things, sometimes you can get a little paranoid. Our history back home with dry stone walls back in England or Yorkshire, a lot of the walls have been built for 300-400 years, sometimes thousands of years, and those walls in most cases, or some cases, are still stood. They have straight joints from top to bottom. Within the face there could be 10 or a dozen. Within your eye span, if you see what I mean, there could be several where there's one stone over several. And even trace walling, where you have a narrow strip of stone, if it's laid flat and the next stones above them are laid flat and walled properly round them, those stones will still be there uncrushed if all the length of the stone is laid. And so little bits of things like that. You must put your fillings in, you must cross your joints, but maybe not every one, but predominantly you must do, to make the structure sound. Not to get too hung up on not silly points, but points that, yes, you will automatically struggle with as beginners. This is where the experience comes in.
You had mentioned too, with some of the history of some of the older structures. Can you just talk about that? Some of the older structures that you've experienced or seen, and maybe what the ages are and what the names of those structures are?
I'm sorry I can't help you with names, but back in Ingleton on Settle in the Yorkshire Dales, where I come from, there is a wall built there. It's probably 2.5 meters thick by 7 meters high, and that is there's a short section, probably 8 to 10 meters of it, and why that will be built, who knows, but the structure is still stood with massive big stones in, but that, the quote, is 4,000 years old.
Wow.
Predominantly the buildings round with us can be anything from 200, 300, 400 years old, stone built with mortar, to properties, castles could be several hundred years, 1,000 years old in fact, dating way back in history. Our history goes back a vast amount of years.
So dry stack stone is a very suitable solution for
very suitable
for construction.
Yes, for anywhere, yes, for anywhere.
Great.
Even in the Himalayas there are stone structures. Namche Bazaar, as the aeroplanes land there to move on to the Himalayas. There are terraces there that have been stood for hundreds of years. Yes, you have to repair them at certain times, but the heave of the freeze-thaw action up there must be, well, it'll be constant permafrost, won't it? And so there's structures all over the world that, in all sorts of conditions, dry stacked, especially down in America. The DSC, they've done some wonderful projects, all dry stacked. Back in Britain, perhaps our councils, our structural engineers, they fall shy of it, but perhaps our history, I don't know where all that ties in. It's a bit contradictory, so I'm not going to go there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.